Hello and namaste, my beautiful friends. I am Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of March the 31st, 2025. Now, as I am filming this, it is the day before this very powerful solar eclipse in Aries, and immediately the day after, Neptune moving into the sign of Aries. So, I am still expecting some volatility. I am not thinking we will wake up Sunday morning and know exactly what either one of the messages is from these two powerful movements of the planets. But I will say that volatility will kind of tone the week at the same time that we're actually experiencing some very, very positive flows of energy this week. Now, I want you to remember the incredible packed amount of energy that is focused at the very end of the sign of Pisces. Remember that we have Neptune just left the very last degree, right? It is very, very early in the 0 degree stage, just minutes, barely a minute into that. And then we have the amplification of the North Node. We have Mercury retrograde in a sign that already it kind of feels confused in, right? Pisces is the realm of the depths and the emotions. And here's Mercury wanting to be clear and express concepts and ideas and discuss them while, but there's so much confusion. The North Node is there in an amplification, a once every 19 years amplification of this energy. And of course, wherever the North Node is, the South Node stands across the sky in the opposite sign, exposing the shadow of that sign, and that sign is Virgo. And so that opposition there, that South Node in Virgo, don't forget that that is pulsing away. It is expressing energy towards every single one of these planets that's clustered in Pisces, including Venus, which is retrograde, and Saturn. Now, Saturn inches closer to this little cluster, this little dance of Neptune, North Node, Mercury, Venus, how we love, how we speak, our soul's evolution, how do we create, what's certain, what's uncertain, what needs to dissolve so that it can be reborn in some different way, what inspires us. All of that has been hanging out at the end of Pisces due to the retrogrades of Mercury and Venus. Now, here comes Saturn. I mentioned concrete last week, and one of my dear, dear friends mentioned the concrete truck, right? The concrete truck is pulling up. It's wanting to set a foundation. And in fact, this entire month, Venus, the planet of love and beauty and harmony, hangs out with difficult old man Saturn. The rules, the limitations, why can't you do that? How can't you do that better? Won't you do that in this particular way? And of course, across the sky is that shadow of Virgo saying, well, if I can't do it exactly the way I want to, I'm not going to do it at all. Never mind. You don't deserve this goodness that is me. It can be really this kind of a difficult shadow, right? So what do? We try to harmonize the energies. So we realize, okay, some things are being solidified and some other things are dissolving. How do we carefully navigate and hold both those energies? The symbol of Pisces is two fish swimming in the opposite direction, but yet they're tied together, right? They can't escape each other. There's a duality to the nature of Piscean energy. It's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. It's lost in, the pain of emotions, but also experiencing the highest high of feeling on top of the world. So what we need to do is find this pendulum swing and bring it a little bit more to center, right? Not too much, not too little. Keep it in the eye of the storm, so to speak. But also look for the positive aspects of this inspirational energy. I don't know about you, but I've been, I'm always in a continual state of trying to get myself back on track with my meditation practice because I'm a person who struggles to maintain a schedule. It's just the way I operate. And so I'm back on my meditation train, so to speak. And the meditations have just been so fruitful and useful, even when I don't have a lot of time to devote to them. I do a little breath work and I'm immediately there and I can really connect. That's part of the beauty of this energy of Pisces. But now we're also introducing Saturn. So discipline, direction, dedication. These are things that Saturn respects and are things that will be useful to us this entire month. I mean, it's probably good advice anytime, right? But particularly if we apply it to the things we love, the things that we value, the things that are important to us, we try to put some structure around those things so that we can achieve what we want and what we think is important to us. Now, as we move through this week, we also have this incredible blessing of Saturn and Venus for part of it. But let's focus on Saturn. Saturn sending just a bit of luck over to Uranus, the planet of sudden shocking events. So they can be sudden and shocking in a way that we perceive as positive. They can be sudden and shocking in a way that we feel is devastating or terrible. Most of the time, we don't do well with things that are surprises, right? Even if it's something that turns out to be lovely, right? You know, you have a surprise party and you're like, I wouldn't have worn this dress, right? You know, there can be this element of us feeling like we have a lot more control than we do. And the thing is, we do have control. We have more control over the cosmic, but less control over the minutia or the details. And that's something to always remember when you're manifesting, but also when you're experiencing things that are, you know, you consider to be sudden or shocking. All right. Imagine just for this week, try it on for just a little while, that the universe is conspiring to deliver to you what you want in the way that you would like it to be. All right. So both of these energies, both Saturn and Uranus, are also beautifully configured to Mars, our action planet, this week. Now, this is something Mars will pull away from this combination, but that Uranus, Saturn are going to stay in harmonious aspect. And remember, because both of them are pretty slow-moving planets, they are future-oriented. They're showing us the way. They're paving it, literally. Saturn wants to pave a way forward to something new. And so we're starting to begin to see where those forms are being set up. So observe that as you move through your week. Pay attention to that as you move through the week. All right, let's hop into the exact dates. So as we begin, on the 31st, I'm just keeping an eye on that eclipse. I mean, eclipses typically, text me day 3 after the eclipse and see how Jill's doing, because that's usually how it hits. And this particular one hits a really important part in my chart personally. So I'm, doing my breath work, doing my meditation, and trying to be open to the possibilities. But Mars Chiron, it's just a little tension there. It's finishing up. This will be the 3rd hit. And this is showing us where maybe we're a little too sensitive when it comes to being independent. We're a little too sensitive. Maybe even people who we perceive as being too independent or, decisively moving forward. And then there's that little tender part of us. It's like, I don't know why you're doing it that way. Shouldn't you play it safe? Even observe that you may notice that just the first couple of days of the week. Now, Tuesday is our beginning of April, April Fool's Day. I don't know about you, but that particular day, April 1st, no matter when it lands, always seems to have some symbolic relevance to me. Maybe it's just the American tradition of it being April Fool's Day, and there always seems to be a cosmic joke, at least for me. So watch for that. But I'm also watching because it is a day where the moon is in both Taurus and Gemini, but it's sending amazing aspects to a lot of things. So I'm really kind of looking for that, to look for all the silver linings, the possibilities, the clues that I'm being given. It also has about a 3.5 hour moon void in the center of the day, so adjust it for your time zone. Take a look. I have all the moon voids on my website on a blog, so check that out and see what's going on if you're making a big decision or signing a contract. As we get to the 2nd, Saturn gets closer to that little grouping of planets. As we have mentioned before, a group of planets where they're 3 degrees or less apart from each other is called a stellium. And so we've had this stellium in Pisces for a while now, but up comes Saturn to pull the concrete truck up to what's going on there. So very much in contact with that Venus, right? And then on the 3rd, we have another significant moon void, and so I want you to keep an eye on that if you're doing anything, particularly, again, contractual, decisive, making a big purchase, things along those lines. You want to make sure the moon is not void, but it's a wonderful time if you're looking for more of a romantic or artistic time period. On the 5th, we begin to pick up a connection from Mars to the North Node in Pisces and South Node in Virgo. Now, this will be in play all the way through about the 16th of April. So again, this is kind of a fated time frame. Now, Mars has been here before, but it wasn't exactly connecting to the nodes at this degree. And so there's something that you might be intuiting a way forward. And I love that it's connecting to the North Node in Pisces, so that's very inspired. But yet it's also got a nice little sextile to the South Node in Virgo, so you can be discerning and know the way forward. Just set your perfectionist streak aside and see what you can do with what you have. Then on the 6th, we have a lovely little connection, just a sextile, but it's a little luck and blessing between the Sun and Jupiter. So Sun in Aries to Jupiter in Gemini. So watch, Jupiter in Gemini is a little bit scatterbrained, okay? But here's the Sun perhaps giving you a bit of blessing, a bit of understanding. Oh, yes, there are all these different possibilities, but let's look at this one in particular. I'm also looking at this day because, as I mentioned, there's a lovely flow between Saturn, Uranus, and Mars. Well, Venus joins that precise flow of beautiful blessing energy. So think again, harmonize something between Pisces, Taurus, and Cancer in your chart. There's something magical happening there. So think about how you can get those energies to harmonize. Now, I'm really liking, as far as the light for the week, is that minor grand trine with Uranus to both. Uranus sextiling Saturn, Uranus sextiling Mars, Saturn trine to Mars. It creates a small little blue triangle if you look at the chart. And this is just, again, it's flow, it's luck, it's blessings. Take advantage of it. See that future-oriented flow. I'm also kind of liking that Venus-Saturn. You know, Venus-Saturn could come out two ways, right? Venus-Saturn could be like, the rules, time, I don't have the money to do whatever it is that I'm really passionate about. But Saturn could also be like, hey, Venus, here, these are the rules. As long as you play by them, you're going to get what you want. Hey, Venus, yeah, you're going to have to work a little hard for that. But if you put in the effort, you're going to get there. You know, I think a little Saturn sometimes helps, especially it's easy to say, oh, I love, or I want, or I'm going to someday. You know, Saturn's like, okay, well, you know, send me the spreadsheet, girl. Like, what are you doing? So I appreciate that. I'm also loving the Mars connection to the nodes. I really feel like there's this, you know, for Mars and Cancer, there's something very protective about it. There's something very concerned about family and the wellness of women and children and those who are more vulnerable. And I'm hoping that this will allow people to feel that sense of belonging, but also that sense of responsibility for those who are more vulnerable than we are, so that we can take actions to assist them at this time. Now, as far as the shadow, well, the stellium. When you take that many planets and pack them together, I probably have used this metaphor before. I've definitely used it with clients. It's like you're nicely watering the garden of God, and all of a sudden you're using a fire hose, and that water is pouring out at such a rate that it is destroying parts of your garden. It's like, whoa, 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 how do I handle this much energy? Oh, maybe I need to direct it in a different way. Understand that, and especially understand that if the tendency is, or feeling is, you know what? This is too much, and I'm just going to crawl under my covers and watch 72 hours of Netflix. Like, no, okay? Realize that there's an enormous amount of energy. Realize that it's going to feel very uncertain. Realize that you might not know exactly what to do now or even for the future, but realize that you're being guided. You're being led. Things are happening for a purpose. Even things that you might perceive that are negative, try to look for the silver lining. The other shadow of the week, well, of course, all the retrogrades. Remember, Mars is still in the shadow. Venus is retrograde. Mercury is retrograde. It's frustrating, right? I mean, it just feels like you can't get any traction. You feel like you put this idea out there, and then you're distracted with this other thing. And at least that's how I'm feeling. You know, I just am like, middle of May, get to the middle of May, and I feel like I'll finally have this map unfolded that, you know, has been in a ball in the trunk, right? All right. And then finally, the Neptune and Aries, I'm still tippy-toeing into that experience, right? First time in our lifetime. Neptune and Aries. Neptune in the sign of the warrior. Neptune in the sign of the child. Neptune in the sign that it has to do with fighting and is hard-headed, right? So still kind of feeling into that Neptunian fire. And of course, realizing that we're about to have a lot of energy in fire and a lot of energy in water. And when you add the two together, you end up with steam. And so that could culminate even in terms of weather events. Keep watching out for weather events that relate to water, events that relate to fire, anything that can relate to something being consumed and transformed in a way that might not be the most harmonious way. Alrighty, my friends. Well, I hope you had a positive experience of the eclipse. I hope so far your Neptune and Aries symbols have been good. Please know that I would love to hear from you. I'd love you to comment below, see how you're experiencing all of this. I got a lot of feedback last week about the tarot. So connected to this video, there is going to be a Celtic cross on a specific what should I do? A specific transit. Let's do a Celtic cross on that minor grand trine. Let's lean into some positivity here. And then there will be a separate video of the Isis Lotus Tarot spread. I will start doing that as a separate video so I can slow down and take a little bit more time with it, and perhaps people will kind of become more familiar with that two-pronged approach to the week. So again, I thank you for your support. I thank you for sharing this with a friend, and let's check out that Celtic cross on the minor grand trine. Hello, my friends, and namaste. I'm Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. So this is the Celtic cross reading for the week of March the 31st, 2025. So this week I'm going to ask, what do we need to know for the month to take advantage of the blessings that are flowing between Saturn and Uranus? Now, indeed, there's other planets that are connecting positively with Uranus. We've got Mars at the beginning of the month. We have Venus back and forth. Uranus is an energy of freedom, of blessings that are sudden or shocking, change that is sudden or shocking, things that we didn't think were possible. It has a lot to do with technology and the better use of our resources. And we will all need to lean very strongly into the most positive expressions of technology as the years unfold, yes. But this month, really, there's so much tension in other areas. I really feel like we need to feel this positive potential. So what do we need to do in order to take advantage of that energy? Okay. So the first card in the Celtic cross is you. So we're talking about you right now, and it's the Hermit. So the Hermit suggests quiet time, time alone, maybe time in nature, maybe time in meditation, in contemplation. But it's saying, yes, don't scatter your energies. Stay home maybe, regroup a little bit, calm down, tap into your inner wisdom. And this is for the month, right? This aspect is in play all month. What is crossing you? The Queen of Cups. So we're next leveling our intuition at this stage of humanity. We are reconnecting at deep levels. There's a remembering and an awakening that is happening. And we need to remember the strength that comes from compassion and kindness, and also to do the healing work, because that is part of our mission here. Now, in the past, there's two things influencing this. One, the Four of Pentacles. So we've been trying to kind of figure out what to do with our money and our resources. We've been uncertain, right? And the Uranian energy in Taurus has not been helpful for that. And we're just really conflicted about it too. It's kind of like, okay, well, these sudden things are happening. A, they don't feel all that sudden if you've been paying attention to the astrology, but B, it is very unsettling, and it can feel like we're not exactly sure which way to turn. In the future, sometime this month, you're really going to get an idea that you need to move forward with. It's practical, could be related to finances. Now, what you're thinking it's important to keep the mind focused on the larger picture. Here's the High Priestess. See the unfolding of the karmas. See the larger perspective of things. Know that you are guided, held, and supported. Subconscious mind, also realize that you have this sense that things are happening you're unaware of, and the answer is yes, that's true. That feeling, that odd little intuitive hit that you're getting, yeah, there's a lot going on, but stay connected to that intuition. I keep getting the image of someone standing next to a building, and like without even knowing it, they hop to the left and a rock falls down and lands, and it would have hit them, right? It's about really staying connected so that you can pivot. The advice card for this aspect: temperance, right? Be moderate, be balanced. Saturn likes discipline. Saturn likes structure. Saturn likes things to be directed. And this is the card that says, yes, there will be sudden things that happen, and we have to not overcorrect. It's kind of like you're driving down the road and there's an obstacle. If you overcorrect, you could end up going over a cliff, right? So balance, moderation this month. Also, outside influence, there are some positive things. There are silver linings. This is just fantastic energy. Even for the first half of the month, Saturn trines to Mars and Mars sextiles to Uranus. We call it a minor grand trine. It's a really lovely combination of energies. What do you want to happen? Oh, the lovers. You're like ready. You're ready for the magical synchronicity. You're ready for that wonderful partnership you've been waiting for, that perfect job or that opportunity. Yes, you are. And the outcome, 8 of Pentacles. I always call this the apprenticeship card. Think about this month as skill building. You're gaining information. People keep asking me about how to operate, and I just keep telling them, everything's retrograde, at least all the inner planets are either retrograde or in their shadow until we get to the middle of May. And so think of this as information gathering. You're running some statistics and charts and spreadsheets and gaining new skills and abilities that are going to carry you forward. So focus on that. And then the Reader's Fan, which is not as it doesn't have the weight of these other cards, but kind of tells a little story. Ace of Wands, there's new things coming, brand new initiations and beginnings. And 9 of Wands, you're closer than you think. Don't give up. The Star, try to lean into hope, to optimism. Things break down, things fall apart. That's the rich compost in which we plant the new garden. And then finally, the 8 of Cups. There will be things, people, jobs, places that you will have to leave. You will have to put them behind you. Be ready. All right, my beautiful friends, I hope you found this useful and helpful. If you have an opinion, I'd love to hear it. Comment below. If you found it helpful, please share it with a friend. I wish you the most marvelous week. I'll see you next week. Bye.